In the Amazon, pain is not always the worst part. The real terror begins when the body stops listening. A fish can still see the water but lose the power to swim. A predator can still breathe but feel its muscles fail. A small animal can touch the wrong skin, receive the wrong sting, or bite the wrong prey. And suddenly, movement, balance, nerves, and survival start slipping out of its control. This episode is about the Amazon animals that do more than wound. They interfere with the body's command system, turning nerves, muscles, pain, and panic into weapons. In the blackwater channels of the Amazon, danger does not always announce itself with teeth, claws, or a flash of color. Sometimes it waits inside the water itself. The surface may look almost still, broken by drifting leaves, drowned branches, and the slow breathing of the flooded forest. Beneath it, visibility collapses quickly. Roots twist down into the dark. Silt hangs in the water. Small fish move through a world where shape, distance, and threat are often guessed more than seen. This is the kind of place where an animal does not need to chase loudly to become terrifying. It only needs a way to reach through the darkness before its prey understands what has happened. The electric eel belongs to that world perfectly. Long, heavy-bodied, almost plain at first glance, and easy to underestimate until the water around it becomes part of the attack. The name is slightly misleading because the electric eel is not a true eel in the familiar sense. It is a South American knifefish shaped by habitats where mud, shadow, and tangled vegetation make ordinary vision unreliable. In these rivers and flooded forests, the ability to sense electrically is not a gimmick. It is a survival system. The eel produces weak electrical signals to read its surroundings, almost like touching the world without using its body. Objects, prey, roots, and obstacles disturb the field around it. In clear water, sight may be enough. Here, in the tea-dark Amazon, the eel has evolved a different map, moving through a hidden landscape written in pulses, resistance, and tiny changes in conductivity. That is what makes the electric eel such a brutal opening for nerve hijack. Its weapon does not feel external in the ordinary way. A bite comes from outside. A claw tears from outside. Venom enters and begins its chemistry. But an electric eel attacks the language the victim's own body already uses. Every fin stroke, every bend of the spine, every burst of escape speed depends on nerve impulses telling muscle fibers when to contract. Movement is not just strength. It is timing, coordination, and electrical command becoming motion. The eel turns that vulnerability into a hunting tool. When it releases high-voltage pulses, the water carries a command stronger than the prey's own nervous system can ignore. A small fish hiding near the roots may not see the eel approach. It may sense only a pressure shift, a shadow, or water moving through submerged leaves. Then the pulse arrives. The fish's muscles can contract involuntarily, not because the fish has chosen to move, but because the eel has forced the system to fire. For a predator hunting in low visibility, that is an extraordinary advantage. Hidden prey twitch. Buried prey reveal themselves. A body trying to stay invisible suddenly betrays its own location. The Amazon often rewards stillness, camouflage, and silence, but the electric eel can make stillness fail. The attack becomes more frightening once the eel closes the distance. Strong electric discharges can stun or immobilize prey long enough for the eel to seize it. This is not cartoon lightning splitting the water. There is no glowing blue bolt, no magical crackle lighting up the river like a storm cloud. The real event is quieter and more disturbing. The fish simply loses its clean relationship with its own body. A smooth swimmer becomes a jerking shape. Escape becomes confusion. Muscles fire at the wrong time, too hard or not usefully enough. In a world where survival often depends on the first fraction of a second, that loss of control can decide everything. The anatomy behind this is almost absurdly specialized. Much of the electric eel's body is devoted to electric organs made from modified muscle cells called electrocytes. Those cells are stacked in huge numbers, and when they discharge together, they create a powerful electrical output. It is a biological battery built from muscle that no longer contracts in the normal way, repurposed by evolution into a living weapon and sensory instrument. The eel's body is not merely carrying a weapon. Its body has been reorganized around electricity. Even its long shape gives space for the machinery that makes the pulse possible. This strategy fits the flooded forest beautifully. During high water seasons, the Amazon expands into the trees. Fish spread into submerged forest, feeding among fallen fruit, insects, and leaf litter. Predators follow them into a maze of trunks and roots. Visibility becomes worse, but opportunity increases. An electric eel can patrol these tight, complex spaces where a fast visual chase would be clumsy. It can probe, detect, flush, and strike through a medium that already connects everybody in the scene. Water is not just habitat for the eel, it is the wire. There is another strange layer to its life that makes it feel even less like a normal fish. Electric eels breathe air. They must surface regularly, taking oxygen from the atmosphere because the warm, stagnant, low-oxygen waters they often occupy cannot always provide enough through gills alone. The same animal that can dominate the hidden underwater world is still tied to the surface by a simple physical demand. It rises, takes air, and sinks back into darkness. The moment is almost ironic. Evolution rarely creates invincible monsters. It creates specialists, and every specialist has a bargain built into its design. For prey, that bargain offers little comfort. The eel's presence changes the meaning of the water. A root tangle is no longer just cover. A shadow is no longer just shade. The open gap between two branches may be filled with a force that cannot be seen. Small fish, amphibians, and other aquatic animals live in a world where every movement gives information away, and the electric eel is built to collect that information and punish it. Even larger animals treat it with caution because a strong discharge can turn contact with the wrong body into immediate panic. The electric eel opens this story because it makes the title physical. Nerve hijacking is not a metaphor here. It is a hunting method. The prey's muscles, nerves, and reflexes become part of the eel's reach. The animal does not simply overpower the victim from the outside. It exploits the basic electrical grammar that allows bodies to move at all. Life depends on signals being private, precise, and trusted. The electric eel breaks that trust. In dark Amazon water, before the jaws close, before the victim is swallowed, control can already be gone. On the Amazon floor, color can be a weapon before anything moves. A poison dart frog does not need to hide under the exact shade of a dead leaf or flatten itself into the mud like an animal built around fear. It can sit openly on wet moss, on the slick rim of a bromeliad, or beside a black root shining with rainwater, and still look almost impossibly confident. Around it, the forest is crowded with animals trying not to be seen. Insects wear bark patterns. Lizards freeze against stems. Small frogs vanish into brown leaf litter so completely that the eye passes over them. Then, one of these frogs appears like a living warning mark. Yellow bright enough to cut through shade, blue like wet stone under sunlight, orange glowing against dark soil, black patterns breaking the body into sharp signals. In a place where camouflage is usually survival, poison dart frogs survive by doing the opposite. They make themselves obvious. That visibility is not decoration. It is a contract with the rest of the forest. The frog is small enough to fit inside the mouth of many predators, but its skin changes the calculation. A bird, snake, spider, or small mammal may see a tiny animal and read it as prey. Yet the frog's color is telling a different story. It is not saying, "You cannot catch me." It is saying, "You may regret catching me." That is a very different kind of defense. Speed can fail. Hiding places can be discovered. A jump can be mistimed. But chemical defense remains on the body, waiting for the moment of contact. The frog does not have to win a chase. It only has to make being eaten dangerous. This is why poison dart frogs belong in nerve hijack. Their danger is not built around attack, it is built around consequence. The frog does not lunge across the forest floor to poison something. It does not hunt predators. It does not chase a mouth and force itself inside. It simply carries a loaded surface. The moment a predator bites, licks, or grips it, the situation can turn against the attacker. A feeding attempt becomes a chemical mistake. The predator's body expects food, softness, muscle, protein, an easy swallow. Instead, it receives defensive alkaloids from the frog's skin secretions, compounds that can interfere with the normal operation of nerves, muscles, and, in the most extreme cases, heart function. The punishment does not come from the frog being strong. It comes from the predator's own biology being vulnerable to the wrong molecule. The strongest poison frog defenses are terrifying because they target systems every animal depends on. Nerves and muscles work through tiny electrical and chemical events that must happen in the right order. Signals move, channels open and close, muscles contract, release, and contract again. A predator's tongue shoots forward, its jaws close, its throat prepares to swallow, its heart keeps rhythm underneath all of it. Toxins that disrupt this order can turn the body's reliability into weakness. Depending on the species and toxin involved, the result may be irritation, numbness, weakness, convulsions, paralysis, or dangerous disruption of normal cardiac and neuromuscular function. The frog has no claws to compare with a cat and no jaws to compare with a caiman, but it does not need them. It is protected by chemistry aimed at the machinery that makes strength possible. The moment after contact is where the real horror lives. Imagine a small predator moving through wet leaves at dawn when the forest floor is still cool and every surface is beaded with water. A bright frog shifts near a root. The predator strikes because that is what hunger has trained it to do. For a second, the story looks simple. Mouth closes, prey caught, meal secured. Then the script breaks. The taste is wrong. The mouth may flood with irritation. The body hesitates. What should have been swallowed becomes something to spit out, wipe away, or escape from. In nature, that delay matters. A predator that learns from the experience may survive and avoid the same warning colors next time. A predator that ignores the signal may pay a heavier price. The frog's defense is not just about killing. Often, it is about teaching the forest to leave that color alone. Even the frog's poison is not created in isolation. Many poison dart frogs gain their toxic alkaloids through diet, especially from small arthropods such as ants, mites, and other tiny forest floor invertebrates. This makes their defense part of a wider ecological chain. The frog is not simply a bright container of poison. It is a living collector of chemical fragments moving through the rainforest food web. What the frog eats can influence what its skin becomes. In captivity, without the same wild diet, many poison dart frogs lose much of their toxicity over time. That detail makes them even more interesting, not less. Their danger is not just inside the frog. It is built from the forest itself, from insects, soil, plants, fungi, moisture, and the hidden chemistry of the leaf litter. Their skin also explains why they live so closely tied to damp places. Amphibian skin is not a simple covering. It breathes, drinks, secretes, and senses. It must stay moist enough to function, which means poison dart frogs belong to humid microclimates where wet leaves, shaded roots, and trapped rainwater create small worlds of stability. The same skin that makes them vulnerable to drying also becomes the platform for chemical defense. This is the bargain again, a soft, permeable body in a hard forest, protected not by armor but by secretions. A frog that seems fragile at first glance is actually carrying one of the most elegant warning systems in the ecosystem. Their brightness also connects to behavior. Many poison dart frogs are active during the day when their colors can be seen. A warning signal only works if other animals can notice it. In the dim green light under the canopy, a frog's body can stand out like a hazard sign placed on the forest floor. Some species also show surprisingly complex parental care. Adults may guard eggs, transport tadpoles on their backs, or use small pools of water in plants as nurseries. In a forest where tiny offspring can vanish into the stomachs of insects, fish, and other frogs, this care gives the next generation a better chance. The same animal that looks like a chemical warning flare may also be moving quietly through the understory with tadpoles clinging to its back, carrying them toward water held in leaves above the ground. That contrast is what makes poison dart frogs so good for this chapter. They are not monsters. They are small amphibians solving impossible problems with the tools evolution gave them. They must avoid drying out, find tiny prey, reproduce in a forest full of hungry mouths, and survive despite being small enough for almost anything to test. Their answer is not brute force. It is communication backed by chemistry. The color says, "Stop." The skin explains why. In the language of nerve hijack, the poison dart frog is the trap that does not move. The predator attacks with all the confidence of a body built to feed, but contact changes the meaning of that body. The mouth becomes the entry point. The tongue becomes the mistake. The nerves, muscles, and heart that should complete the meal can become the very systems thrown into crisis. The frog remains where it was, bright against the wet Amazon floor, almost too visible to seem real. In a forest full of animals trying to disappear, it survives by being seen and by making touch itself dangerous. In the Amazon, not every weapon is designed to stop the body from moving. Some weapons are designed to make movement feel almost irrelevant. A bullet ant does not need the weight of a jaguar, the jaws of a caiman, or the electrical reach of an eel. It can stand on a dark, wet branch with a body barely longer than a thumbnail and still change the behavior of a much larger animal. Its power is concentrated, precise, and deeply unfair. One sting can turn the nervous system into a siren. The victim may still have muscles, it may still have balance, it may still be capable of running, climbing, or pulling away. But the body's attention is suddenly captured by one command louder than everything else: pain. Bullet ants live in a world where contact matters. They move through trunks, vines, branches, roots, and leaf litter, often in humid forest where every surface is crowded with life. Their glossy black bodies can look almost carved from the shadow itself, long-legged and deliberate, with mandibles ready to grip and a sting hidden at the end of the abdomen. They are not chaotic insects spilling blindly across the forest. They are powerful individual workers, large by ant standards, moving with a heavy confidence that makes sense once their defense is understood. A small animal can ignore many ants. It cannot easily ignore this one. Their sting is famous because it attacks something every animal understands. Pain is not simply suffering. Pain is information with authority. It tells the body that a tissue is threatened, that a limb must be protected, that attention must move now. In normal life, pain is useful. It stops an animal from pressing against a thorn, from holding a burned foot in hot ash, from continuing a movement that will tear skin or muscle further. Pain is the body's emergency broadcast system. The bullet ant turns that useful system into a prison. Instead of a clean warning that helps the body respond, the signal becomes overwhelming, long-lasting, and impossible to push into the background. This is why bullet ants belong in Nerve Hijack, even though they do not fit the obvious version of the title. They are not stealing control by shutting muscles down. They are not forcing a twitch through the water or cutting communication between nerves and breathing muscles. They hijack priority. The body can only focus on so many things at once, and intense pain climbs to the top of the list like a dictator. Hunger stops mattering. Curiosity disappears. The plan to raid a nest, eat a worker, or keep climbing through the branches is replaced by one brutal demand: deal with this. The sting itself is a defensive tool, not a hunting strategy aimed at large animals. Bullet ants feed on nectar, plant fluids, and small arthropods, and they live as part of the forest's endless exchange between insects, plants, and predators. But when something threatens a worker or colony, the ant's weapon changes the scale of the encounter. A bird probing a branch, a small mammal nosing through leaf litter, or a reptile pushing too close to the wrong trunk may suddenly meet a defense far more memorable than the ant's size suggests. The mandibles can grip first, anchoring the body, and the sting follows with frightening accuracy. The ant does not need to win a wrestling match. It only needs to deliver the message. Inside the venom is the deeper reason the pain feels so commanding. Bullet ant venom contains compounds that affect nerve signaling, including a peptide known as ponerotoxin, which is associated with intense and prolonged pain. The important point is not to turn this into a chemistry lecture, because the forest does not experience it as chemistry. The forest experiences it as behavior changing instantly. A predator that expected a snack pulls back. A foot that stepped too close lifts. A muzzle, paw, or patch of soft skin becomes the center of the animal's entire world. The venom does not need fantasy glow or visible shockwaves. Its effect is already strong enough. It changes what the nervous system cannot stop noticing. That makes the bullet ant different from the animals before it. The electric eel uses electricity to override movement. The coral snake threatens the link between nerve and muscle. The poison dart frog turns contact into a chemical punishment. The wandering spider creates a spreading biochemical alarm. But the bullet ant sharpens the idea into something almost painfully simple. Control does not always mean paralysis. Control can mean forcing the brain to care about one sensation more than survival, more than feeding, more than anything else happening in the forest at that moment. The Amazon setting makes that even more vivid. Imagine a branch slick with rain, suspended above dark understory plants. Water clings to bark ridges, Fungi soften old wood. Tiny flies hover over sap, and somewhere below, leaf litter shifts with hidden movement. A bullet ant patrols the branch alone, its body shining in broken gold light. It is not rushing, it does not need to. Around it, the forest is full of animals that survive by testing things, tasting, biting, sniffing, probing, stepping where they should not. That curiosity is often useful, but in the territory of bullet ants, it can become a mistake that burns itself into memory. Pain also has ecological value because memory shapes future behavior. A predator that survives a bad sting may avoid the same shape, the same smell, the same branch, or the same nest area later. In that sense, the sting protects more than the individual ant. It protects the colony by teaching the surrounding forest to hesitate. This is one of the quiet powers of social insects. A single worker may be small, but it represents a system. Behind one ant, there may be a nest, a network of workers, chemical trails, alarm responses, and repeated consequences for anything that keeps pushing too close. The bullet ant's pain is not random cruelty. It is colony defense translated into nerve language. There is also a strange honesty to the animal. It does not pretend to be harmless in the way some prey animals do. It moves openly enough to be noticed, large enough to be respected, and dangerous enough that the lesson does not need many repetitions. Its dark armor, long legs, and deliberate movement all fit a creature that has less reason to panic than many insects around it. Of course, it can still be eaten by specialized predators or killed by accident. Nothing in the rainforest is untouchable. But the bullet ant has made itself expensive to attack. And in evolution, being expensive can be as valuable as being impossible. The real horror is how familiar its weapon feels. Most viewers will never feel a coral snake's venom or an electric eel's discharge, but everyone understands pain. Everyone knows how quickly it can shrink the world. A sharp injury can make a whole landscape disappear from attention. Suddenly, there is only the place that hurts. The bullet ant takes that normal survival signal and pushes it into nightmare territory. The body is not destroyed, it is occupied. The nervous system becomes crowded with one message, repeated so loudly that calm thought and clean movement lose their place. That is why this chapter matters. Bullet ants prove that nerve hijack does not always require shutting the body down. Sometimes the most effective weapon is to seize the body's attention and refuse to let go. On a wet Amazon branch, one small black ant can make a larger animal abandon a meal, retreat from a nest, or remember a patch of forest as dangerous long after the sting fades. The injury may be tiny, the command is not. In the Amazon, pain is not just a warning. In the body of a bullet ant, pain becomes control. At the edge of an Amazon clearing after rain, the ground looks soft enough to swallow a footprint. Dark mud shines under broken gold light. Leaves lie flattened against the soil, and every low hollow holds water warm enough for mosquitoes, tadpoles, and small night insects. The forest here does not move with the clean drama people imagine from a distance. It breathes through dampness. It waits in puddles, root gaps, rotting wood, and the slow movement of animals that seem too heavy or too plain to matter. Then, a marine toad appears on the mud, squat, broad-headed, and almost ancient-looking, its rough skin glistening with moisture, and its body planted low to the ground like it has no interest in impressing anything. It is not sleek, it is not beautiful in the bright warning sign way of a poison dart frog. It does not have the elegance of a snake or the sudden violence of a spider. At first glance, It looks like the kind of animal a predator should be able to handle. That assumption is exactly where the trap begins. The marine toad, often known as the cane toad, is built around a different survival logic from fast prey. Many small animals live by vanishing before the jaws arrive. They leap, fly, burrow, climb, or freeze into the background and hope the eye passes over them. A marine toad cannot rely on that kind of escape in the same way. Its body is heavy, its movements are deliberate, and its shape does not suggest speed. But evolution does not only reward the animals that run first, it also rewards the animals that make predators regret getting close. The marine toad's defense is written into its skin, especially in the large parotoid glands behind the eyes, swollen structures that can release toxic secretions when the animal is threatened, bitten, or handled roughly. A predator sees a slow amphibian. The toad is carrying a chemical penalty. That is why this ending works for nerve hijack. The toad does not chase the attacker. It does not need to win a contest of speed or strength. Its defense begins when the predator believes the fight is already over. A mouth closes around the body, teeth press into rough skin, and the animal, expecting food, suddenly makes contact with toxins that can irritate the mouth, disturb coordination, and, in serious cases, affect the heart and nervous system. The direction of control flips. The predator initiated the attack, but the toad's chemistry changes what that attack means. The bite becomes the delivery route for punishment. On the forest floor, this is not an abstract idea. A curious mammal nosing through wet leaves, a snake testing a large amphibian, or a young predator still learning what the rainforest allows may all make the same mistake. The toad does not look like a masterpiece of danger. It looks edible enough to test. That is the cruel intelligence of the design. Its weakness is partly camouflage for its strength. The animal appears slow, low, and manageable, but the body behind that plain exterior is loaded with defensive chemistry. It is a trap disguised as poor athleticism, which is honestly one of the rainforest's nastier tricks. The moment after the wrong bite is where the chapter earns its place. A predator's body expects a simple sequence: bite, hold, swallow, digest. Instead, the mouth becomes the first site of crisis. The taste is harsh. The tissues react. Salivation can increase. The predator may paw at its mouth, jerk its head, drop the toad, or back away with the kind of panic that comes from a signal arriving faster than understanding. The animal has not simply been injured by a counterattack. Its own feeding machinery has been turned against it. The tongue, gums, throat, and nervous system become part of the punishment. The toad remains on the mud, ugly, wet, and suddenly far less helpless than it looked seconds before. The chemistry behind this defense is powerful because it targets systems that must stay stable. Heart rhythm, muscle coordination, and nerve communication are not optional details in an animal's life. They are the quiet infrastructure of survival. When toxins interfere with these systems, the result can look far larger than the contact point. A bite to the mouth is local, but the response can become body-wide. The predator may lose the clean coordination needed to continue the attack. Its body may flood with alarm signals. What began as feeding becomes a struggle to restore internal order. This is nerve hijack in its final form. Not a strike, not a chase, not a venomous ambush, but a body losing control because it touched the wrong animal. There is something important in how ordinary the marine toad seems before that moment. Bright poison frogs warm the forest with color. Coral snakes flash bands of red, yellow, and black. Bullet ants carry their threat in a body that already looks armored and serious. The marine toad's warning is heavier, duller, and more physical. Its rough skin, broad head, and swollen glands are not pretty signals made for human attention. They are functional signs shaped by survival. The gland behind the eye is not decoration. It is a chemical reservoir placed exactly where a predator's bite is likely to land. The body has turned its most vulnerable contact zone into a defensive boundary. That kind of design makes sense in amphibian life. Toads move between water and land, between open muddy places and dense vegetation, between nights full of feeding opportunities and nights full of animals that would gladly eat them. Their skin must remain biologically active, helping with moisture balance and chemical exchange, but that same skin can also produce secretions that make the animal harder to consume. Amphibians are often soft-bodied compared with reptiles, birds, and mammals, yet many survive by becoming chemically complicated. They do not need armor if the first bite becomes the lesson. The marine toad also belongs to a wider ecological story. It feeds on insects and other small animals, taking advantage of the rainforest's endless supply of moving life. It emerges after rain when the ground is alive with beetles, termites, ants, and larvae. Its own breeding is tied to water, where eggs and tadpoles become part of the food web for fish, insects, birds, and other predators. It is not outside the ecosystem as some isolated toxic object. It is woven into it, both consumer and potential prey, both ordinary amphibian and chemical hazard. That dual role is what makes the animal more interesting than the lazy version of the chapter would be. The weak angle would be, ugly toad is poisonous. The real angle is stronger. A slow animal survives by making predation biologically expensive. For a final chapter, the marine toad leaves the viewer with a broader message than fear alone. The Amazon does not always protect life with obvious weapons. Sometimes survival is not about striking first, running fastest, or looking terrifying. Sometimes it is about making contact dangerous enough that the attacker's own body becomes the warning system. A predator bites because its senses say food. Then its mouth, nerves, muscles, and heart begin receiving a different message. The body that came to feed is forced to deal with itself. In the last image, the toad remains on the wet mud under low golden light, its parotoid glands raised behind watchful eyes, its skin beaded with rain and soil. It has not chased anything. It has not needed speed. It has simply carried the consequence of touching it. Around it, the rainforest keeps moving. Insects climbing over roots, leaves dripping into puddles, small animals testing the night one mistake at a time. The marine toad ends the episode because it proves the central rule in its bluntest form. In the Amazon, control can be stolen through water, venom, pain, or skin. And sometimes the most dangerous animal is the one that lets you think you found an easy meal. On the Amazon forest floor, the most dangerous thing in the leaf litter is not always the thing that moves loudly. The ground is already alive with deception. Wet leaves overlap like scales. Roots break the surface like old bones. Fungi soften fallen wood from the inside. Ants move through hidden tunnels, and small lizards vanish under brown curls of dead vegetation before the eye can properly follow them. In this kind of place, a flash of red, yellow, and black can appear for only a second, sliding between roots with a calmness that feels almost unfair. The coral snake does not enter the scene like a giant predator. It does not need the weight of a caiman, the coils of an anaconda, or the violent speed of a big cat. Its power is smaller, quieter, and in some ways colder. It belongs to a different category of fear, the kind that does not look catastrophic from the outside, while the real damage begins inside the body's control system. Coral snakes are built for a life close to the ground, often hidden beneath leaves, loose soil, rotten logs, or the tangled edges of the forest floor. Their bright banding is famous, but in the Amazon, it does not always make them easy to see. Under broken sunlight, red and yellow can appear and disappear between shadows, wet leaves, and exposed roots. The same colors that look obvious in a clean photograph can become strangely fragmented in the real forest. That is part of what makes them so unsettling. They are visible enough to warn, but hidden enough to surprise. Their coloration is a biological signal, not decoration. It tells other animals that this is not soft prey, not an easy meal, not a small snake worth testing. Evolution has turned their skin into a warning sign, and many predators learn quickly that bold colors in the rainforest often mean the opposite of harmless. But the coral snake's real weapon is not the pattern. The pattern is the announcement. The venom is the message behind it. Many coral snakes carry neurotoxic venom that can interfere with the communication between nerves and muscles. That matters because movement depends on trust. A body survives because commands travel quickly and correctly. The brain signals, nerves transmit, muscles contract, and the animal pulls away, runs, bites, climbs, or breathes. The coral snake attacks that chain. Its venom can disrupt the neuromuscular junction, the place where nerve signals pass their instructions into muscle. When that communication begins to fail, the problem is not simply pain. The problem is obedience. The body may still know what it needs to do, but the muscles may no longer answer with the same strength, timing, or certainty. That is why the coral snake belongs in Nerve Hijack. It does not create the explosive drama of an electric eel turning water into a weapon. It creates something slower and more intimate. A bite may not look impressive at first. The wound can be small. There may be little tearing, little blood. None of the visual violence people expect from a dangerous animal encounter. That lack of drama is exactly what makes it worse. The outside of the body does not always tell the truth about the crisis developing underneath. A bitten animal may still move at first, still appear alive in the usual way, still have awareness and panic. But inside, the signaling system can begin to lose clarity. Weakness spreads not because the animal has given up, but because the link between command and motion is being chemically interrupted. For a small prey animal, that failure is devastating. A lizard under the leaves survives by speed and timing. It cannot fight most predators directly, so it depends on the instant response. See danger, tense the body, explode into cover. A small snake, frog, or burrowing animal lives by the same rule. Reaction is life. Delay is death. Coral snakes often feed on other reptiles and amphibians, including snakes, lizards, and small ground-dwelling prey that share the same hidden layers of the forest. This makes the coral snake a hunter of animals that already understand secrecy. It does not merely invade open space. It hunts inside the concealed world, where bodies are narrow, flexible, and close to the soil. Its prey may be skilled at disappearing, but disappearing does not help once the nervous system itself begins to lose control. The bite is not a wrestling match in the way a constrictor's attack is. A coral snake is generally small-bodied compared with the famous giants of the Amazon, and that size difference is the point. It shows that survival in the rainforest is not decided only by muscle mass. A small animal can carry a weapon that changes the rules completely. Instead of crushing, It alters function. Instead of tearing, it interrupts. The snake's slender body, smooth scales, and secretive movement are suited to a world of narrow gaps and hidden trails, while its venom gives it authority far beyond what its size would suggest. In the rainforest, being small does not mean being weak. Sometimes it means being specialized enough that larger animals would be foolish to touch you. There is also an ecological intelligence in the coral snake's warning colors. A predator that survives one bad encounter may avoid the next one, and that avoidance protects the snake without requiring it to strike every time. Bright banding reduces unnecessary conflict. It is a strange bargain between danger and communication. The coral snake advertises risk, so it does not have to constantly prove it. Around it, other species may borrow the same visual language. Harmless or less dangerous snakes can resemble coral snakes closely enough to benefit from the reputation. The forest floor becomes a place where color itself carries history, memory, and consequence. A predator hesitates not because it has read a textbook, but because evolution has shaped both the signal and the fear around it. The quietness of the coral snake also changes the mood of the ecosystem. A jaguar leaves prints, a caiman disturbs water, army ants announce themselves as a living front. But a coral snake can pass through the leaf litter like a warning whispered under the surface of the forest. It does not need to dominate the landscape. It only needs to be present. For animals that forage close to the ground, that presence adds another invisible pressure to daily life. Every root gap, every hollow log, every damp pocket of leaves may hold food, shelter, or something that turns one mistake into a collapse of control. The most frightening part is the breathing. Muscles do not only run legs and jaws. They keep the chest moving. They allow an animal to pull air into the body again and again without thinking about it. When neuromuscular control fails severely enough, breathing can become part of the crisis. That is the deepest horror of this chapter. The brain may still be awake to the danger, but the machinery that should respond begins to weaken. The animal may know it must move, know it must escape, know it must breathe, and still find those commands arriving badly or not at all. The coral snake is not frightening because it is large. It is frightening because it proves size is a distraction. On the Amazon floor, among wet roots and fallen leaves, control can be stolen by something thin enough to vanish under a palm frond. The bright bands are only a brief signal before the animal disappears again into the dark ground. What remains is the real lesson of nerve hijack. Survival depends on the body obeying itself. The coral snake turns that obedience into the target. On the Amazon floor, the night does not feel empty. It feels occupied. The daylight animals have withdrawn into holes, leaves, bark creases, and branches. But the forest has not gone quiet. It has changed shifts. Moist air settles between the roots. Fallen leaves stick together in dark layers. Beetles move under pieces of wood. Small frogs call from hidden pockets of water. Every surface seems wet enough to hold a footprint, a scent, or the faint vibration of something passing close by. This is where the Brazilian wandering spider begins to feel less like a creature sitting in the background and more like a loaded mechanism moving through the scene. It does not wait in the center of a perfect web like a symbol. It wanders, it searches. It crosses bark, roots, soil, and leaf litter with long legs built for contact with the ground, reading the world through touch, vibration, and sudden changes in air movement. That wandering life is important because it changes the whole mood of the animal. A web-building spider turns a place into a trap and waits for the environment to deliver prey. The Brazilian wandering spider carries the trap with it. Its body is the ambush point. Its legs are the sensing system. Its fangs are the delivery tool. In the tight spaces of the rainforest floor, where a cockroach can vanish under a curled leaf and a small frog can disappear behind a root, this kind of mobility matters. The spider is not simply dangerous because it has venom. Many spiders have venom. It is dangerous because its hunting style brings that venom into direct contact with a moving, crowded, unpredictable world. It lives where mistakes happen at close range. At first, the spider may be almost invisible. Brown legs blend with wet bark and dead leaves. The body breaks into the clutter of the forest floor. Then it shifts, and the shape becomes clear. Long limbs, heavy front section, a posture that can change from stillness to threat in a blink. When disturbed, a Brazilian wandering spider can raise its front legs and display its fangs, not as theater, but as a defensive warning. The posture is honest. It is telling the world that the next step closer may turn contact into chemistry. That is what makes it different from the quieter nerve hijackers before it. The electric eel turns water into a signal field. The coral snake lets venom work in silence. The poison dart frog waits as a loaded surface. The Brazilian wandering spider feels like the nervous system before the strike, tense, alert, and ready to explode. Its venom fits the title because it does not behave like a simple wound. A bite from a dangerous spider can leave marks that look almost too small for the reaction that follows. That mismatch is the disturbing part. The puncture is local, but the message can spread through the body. Venom from Brazilian wandering spiders is a complex mixture of biologically active compounds, including peptides that can interfere with nerve signaling and the way cells handle electrical communication. In plain terms, it can disturb the systems that keep pain, muscle activity, blood pressure, sweating, and other automatic responses under control. The body does not only react to injury, it reacts to chemical instructions. This is where the chapter becomes true nerve hijack. Pain is not just a feeling floating in the mind. It is a signal traveling through nerves, shaped by receptors, ion channels, and chemical messengers. Venom can turn that system into an alarm that will not stay proportional to the size of the wound. A small puncture becomes a storm of information. The body reads danger everywhere near the bite. Muscles tighten, skin may burn or throb. The nervous system begins to behave as though the body has entered a crisis larger than the visible damage. That is the genius and cruelty of venom. It does not need to tear the body apart to take control of it. It can make the body's own warning systems overreact. For prey, this is devastating. A cockroach, cricket, small frog, or lizard moving through the leaf litter depends on fast, clean coordination. Legs must push, grip, correct, and launch in fractions of a second. A wandering spider's attack is built around that narrow window. It does not need a long fight if venom can quickly interfere with the prey's ability to move normally. The spider's front legs help locate and control the victim. The fangs deliver the dose, and the chemistry begins doing what muscle alone could not. In the damp darkness under the Amazon plants, the difference between escape and capture may be only one mistimed jump or one leg that no longer answers correctly. The spider's sensory world is also worth noticing because it is not hunting the forest the way a mammal does. It is not relying on a single sharp image of prey from far away. Much of its world arrives through vibration and touch. The forest floor is a living instrument. A small insect walking across dry leaf veins creates one kind of signal. A frog landing on wet moss creates another. Air movement across hairs on the spider's legs can warn it that something has shifted nearby. To human eyes, the darkness is confusing. To the spider, the ground is full of messages. It does not need the forest to be clear, it needs it to move. That makes the Amazon scene feel claustrophobic in a very real way. Every root gap is a corridor. Every fallen leaf is a roof. Every piece of bark is both shelter and blind corner. In this world, predators and prey are often separated by centimeters before either one fully commits. The wandering spider thrives inside that short distance. It is not a giant monster. Making it huge would actually weaken the truth. Its real threat is that it is already the right size for the hidden world it inhabits. Large enough to overpower small animals, small enough to vanish into the floor, fast enough to make the space around it feel unsafe. The defensive side matters too. The spider is not roaming the forest looking for large animals to attack. That would be stupid biology. Venom is expensive, risk is dangerous, and a spider gains nothing by wasting its weapon on a creature it cannot eat. A serious bite is usually about contact going wrong. A foot, a hand, a predator's mouth, a curious animal pushing too close into the spider's last available space. That is when the warning posture becomes more than a signal. The raised legs, the exposed fangs, the sudden stillness before movement, all of it belongs to an animal trying to prevent the fight before spending the venom. But if the bite happens, the body on the receiving end enters a different kind of story. The venom can affect pain pathways and autonomic responses, meaning the systems that normally run quietly in the background can be dragged into the emergency. Heart rate, sweating, blood pressure, muscle tension, and waves of pain are not random details. They are signs that venom has reached into the body's communication network. The wound may be small, but the system reading that wound can be forced into panic. It is the biological version of a false alarm becoming real because the alarm itself starts damaging the room. There is a brutal elegance in that. The spider does not need to crush a victim with strength. It uses precision chemistry to make control fail from the inside. The prey's body becomes noisy. Its movements become less reliable. Its escape plan collapses into pain, tension, and disrupted signaling. In the dark, wet architecture of the Amazon floor, the spider waits close enough to take advantage of that failure. The Brazilian wandering spider gives Nerve HIJACK its most aggressive land chapter because it feels like a trigger under pressure. It is not passive like a poisonous surface, and it is not silent like a hidden neurotoxic bite. It is alert, mobile, and physically present in the cramped spaces where animals make survival decisions too quickly. Its venom turns a tiny puncture into a body-wide command problem. Pain becomes louder than the wound. Muscles lose calm. Automatic systems surge. The body does not simply know it has been bitten. It is forced into a biochemical emergency. And in the Amazon, that emergency may begin with nothing more dramatic than one wrong step into the leaf litter.